Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer, where we're breaking down federal pharmaceutical rules. Look, if you're working anywhere near the healthcare space, you already know that dealing with compliance can feel a bit like trying to read a foreign language in the pitch dark. But don't worry. Today, we're taking those incredibly dense regulatory requirements and translating them into a simple, actionable playbook for you and your team. Let's just jump right in.
Imagine this. What happens when a product you thought was perfectly safe suddenly triggers some completely unexpected side effects out in the real world? It's literally the ultimate nightmare scenario for anyone in pharma. Human lives are suddenly on the line, and frankly, your company's reputation is on the brink. Well, that exact scenario is exactly why today's compliance framework is in place. Understanding it is absolutely crucial for your daily operations.
So to get through this efficiently, we've broken the rules down into 6 core areas. Welcome to drug compliance, defining a new drug, mandatory tracking and reporting, the rules of labeling, why these rules matter, and finally, the cost of breaking the rules.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1. Welcome to drug compliance.
You know, it's super easy to look at federal guidelines as just this giant mountain of bureaucratic red tape, right? Like they're just there to slow down your innovation. But we really need to shift that mindset. These frameworks are actually a vital safety net. At the end of the day, every single form you fill out and every label you design is fundamentally about protecting the public from real harm. Moving right along to Section 2, defining a new drug.
In the regulatory world, the term new drug doesn't just mean something a scientist whipped up yesterday in a lab. It's much broader. Basically, if a product changes its underlying formula, or alters its dosage, or even just combines 2 existing ingredients in a brand new way, or if it suddenly claims to cure a totally different illness, boom, that triggers a completely fresh regulatory review. It becomes new again in the eyes of the law simply because that specific variation hasn't been officially proven safe yet.
As you can see, the line between an existing, ready-to-sell formula and a heavily regulated, completely novel product is razor thin. Sometimes it's literally just a matter of swapping out a single active ingredient, or just tweaking the marketing claims on the box. The golden rule here? If you tweak it, you've got to test it.
A good way to think about this regulatory framework is to picture the ultimate VIP club bouncer. A medical product can't just stroll right off the street and into the market. No way. It has to be on the approved list. You have to prove that you belong there. And if your product starts acting up once it finally gets inside the club, well, it immediately gets flagged by the authorities.
Which brings us to Section 3, mandatory tracking and reporting.
So, once you actually make it to market, your job isn't done. You are legally required to keep a close eye out for what they call serious adverse experiences. We're talking about severe, completely unlisted reactions that nobody saw coming during the clinical trials, things that might land a patient in the hospital or cause significant life-altering issues. If something like that happens, your team has mandatory, immediate obligations to step in.
And this brings us to the most important number in this entire explainer, 15. This is your magic number. You have exactly 15 calendar days from the very moment your team learns about a serious, unexpected issue to alert the authorities. And yes, I specifically said calendar days. Weekends and holidays absolutely do not pause that clock.
To hit that incredibly tight deadline, your organization needs a completely flawless workflow. Step 1, rapidly identify the unexpected issue. Step 2, investigate it promptly, but crucially, do it while fiercely protecting patient privacy by masking their personal identities. And Step 3, file that alert before day 15 hits. Following this strict workflow is non-negotiable. Missing that 15-day window is a massive operational violation that will bring a lot of severe, unwanted scrutiny right to your doorstep.
Oh, and the paperwork doesn't just vanish once you file that report. All records of these safety events, including the raw data and your internal emails, have to be kept securely on file for a full 10 years. That decade-long paper trail is required so you can legally prove your team is actively monitoring product safety long after the initial launch date.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 4, the rules of labeling.
The rules explicitly mandate that certain products have to carry very clear, unmissable warnings. Take iron supplements, for example. They must carry prominent warnings about the severe dangers of accidental child poisoning, right down to instructions to call a doctor immediately. Or oral contraceptives and estrogen products. They require highly detailed inserts that lay out the risks with total transparency. You cannot hide these warnings in the fine print. Patients need to know exactly what they're putting into their bodies.
Now, on the flip side, there are things you absolutely cannot say. Just to give you a sense of how strictly this marketing is policed, authorities have outright banned over-the-counter products from making certain quirky claims. You cannot sell an everyday pill and claim it's a daytime sedative, an aphrodisiac, or some magical formula that repels mosquitoes from the inside out. Why? Because there's just no scientific proof that they work safely and effectively for those specific uses.
And this right here is exactly where marketing collides with legal risk. If your marketing team gets a little too creative and promises a result that the standard formula cannot legally back up, well, congratulations. You've suddenly transformed your basic product into an unapproved new drug, and that triggers a massive compliance violation. Because as we covered earlier, new drugs require extensive pre-market testing.
Let's take a step back and look at Section 5, why these rules matter.
The hard truth is, a lot of these regulatory guidelines are written in hindsight. They actually evolve from real-world crises. For instance, historically there have been widely used diabetes medications that, years after they were approved, were tragically linked to severe cardiovascular issues. These frameworks exist because lab tests simply can't catch everything. Sometimes those severe, life-threatening complications only reveal themselves once millions of people start taking the product.
So ultimately, tracking these side effects and forcing transparent labeling, it's really not just busy work. It empowers doctors and patients alike to make safe, educated decisions. And most importantly, it catches those hidden dangers that we simply couldn't possibly know about on day one.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, the cost of breaking the rules.
The stakes here couldn't be any clearer. If you commit to a strategy of full compliance, you get to keep your market access, you build lasting patient trust, and your business operations stay nice and predictable. But if you fall into non-compliance, say you skip a warning or hide some data, your product gets legally stamped as misbranded. You'll face immediate regulatory action, and that usually means your product is swiftly yanked right off pharmacy shelves.
It's so crucial to realize that, in the eyes of the authorities, failing to file that 15-day alert or skipping a mandatory warning label isn't seen as a simple administrative typo. Not at all. It's treated as a critical threat to public safety. They view unapproved formulas or hidden adverse events as severe violations that actively put human lives in jeopardy. And trust me, they will penalize your organization accordingly.
So I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. If a hospital called you tomorrow morning reporting a severe, unexpected reaction to your product, is your team truly ready to hit that 15-day deadline? Really think about your current internal processes. Are they fast enough? Are they compliant enough? Take this information back to your team, ask the hard questions, and make absolutely sure your playbook is ready to protect your patients and your organization. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer on pharmaceutical compliance.
If you found this helpful or want to stay updated when this regulation changes, subscribe and support the channel. And if you need the full technical details on this CFR, click the link in the description below. See you next time.